Hank Parker Jr., what a year he's having in the Team Marines. Rick Rathman's Team Marines Chevrolet. And Jason Keller, who came so close to winning here a year ago, got tapped from behind, ended up in one of those big crashes you talk about at Talladega. And Ray Evernham, as you look at the rest of our starting lineup here, by not qualifying and starting by points, we're going to see a lot of shuffling going, even more so than you would anticipate here at Talladega.
Yes, Jerry, we've got some fast cars towards the back of the pack, some guys with inexperience in the front to the middle, so it's going to be an exciting race until they get sorted out.
Been the big concern early on for a lot of these drivers, limited practice. Although the sun is shining right now, the weather over the weekend, it has been pretty dismal and quite a bit cooler, and so significantly different conditions right now for the race.
Basically, they got 1 hour of practice in these racing conditions. They did not get any time. They got on the racetrack for some practice on Thursday. We're not able to qualify yesterday, just about 1 hour. So a lot of these teams are wondering right now just exactly what they might have to see. Buckshot Jones back in row 30th. I think he was the fastest car in the limited practice they had here yesterday.
And Texan Terry Labonte, you saw that finish a year ago. It's the exact same Slim Jim Chevrolet he brings to the field today. And back inside row 18, Joe Nemechek, who finished second in Daytona. Now, Jason Jarrett's Rayovac Pontiac was one of the 2 cars involved. Jarrett actually had contact after the cut tire for Matt Kenseth yesterday in happy hour, so Jarrett will have to go to the back of the field in a backup car. So certainly Jarrett having nowhere to go, so he will start shotgun on the field. And there's David Starr starting 43rd. Now, we mentioned there were 5 drivers who missed the field. There was no qualifying, so they didn't have points or whatever the philosophy that was used in a significant scenario. But these are the guys who didn't make it. Hillen, Lazaro, Chad Little driving the car number 30, Kelly Denton, and Johnny Rumley in the Buckeye Motorsports car number 0. We are getting set for 300 miles of racing action. We'll come back. The fans are smiling. The sun is shining. Back with more live action in just a moment. Back at Talladega Superspeedway here in Talladega, Alabama. The Touchstone Energy 300 as we get set. The race analysis shows that this is 113 laps long, 300 miles. The purse, $892,000. The pit window, 45 to 55 laps for fuel. Remember, halfway is 57 laps here. And there's the race record. Mark Martin set it back in the spring of 1997, over 168, almost 169 miles per hour. Our onboard cameras, Benny, we got quite a few of them here today.
P.J. Jones, the Pamico onboard camera, started back in 36th position. Joe Nemechek, cellular 1, he starts 35th. Jimmy Johnson has the Alltel onboard camera back in the 28th position. Mike McLaughlin, the Gould Pumps Chevrolet, starts in 23rd spot. There's Kenny Irwin. Now here's McLaughlin. I got ahead of myself just a little bit. He will be starting in the 23rd spot. Jeff Purvis, the Porter Cable onboard camera, he starts in 17th. Snyder National on board with Dick Trickle, starts in 16th.
And starting in 3rd spot, last week's winner, Randy LaJoie, his 200th career start for the 2-time Busch Series champion, currently 2nd in points. And our pole sitter, the Briggs & Stratton onboard camera, Chemung, New York driver, top 1 time with Ray.
Well, Jerry, I don't think it's going to be very long before we realize that the fastest race car on the track is the number 87 Cellular 1 car that Joe Nemechek drives. I watched these guys in practice, and they are very, very fast. I look for Terry Labonte to move out of the way, let Nemechek get in front of him, and those 2 should make a run. Part of the reason is these guys are so good with restrictor plates. These Winston Cup guys know exactly what's going on. Now, these teams are running a 31/32 restrictor plate today, and that is going to make a difference in fuel mileage. Right, Bill Weber?
Absolutely, and there are several other factors that will weigh into that. The caution flags, when they fall, how many caution laps are run, and how well you work in the draft. Now, between 45 and 55 laps, that's what a lot of these teams have told us, but that's only for their first stop. Some think they might be able to stretch it after they get an accurate measurement during the first round of green flag racing here. Then they'll also know about how many caution flag laps they've run. Look for some guys to run the risk of going just 1 stop in this race after they pit the first time and get an accurate measurement of their fuel mileage. They've tried it here before, but it's never really worked. It could today.
I think that 87 car of Nemechek will be good. I think that Lyndon Amick in the car number 35 will be very, very good. Both those cars coming from the back of the field. Amick, who was actually married a week ago, and he put his honeymoon off to come run this race. He and his wife, his new wife, Melanie, leave tomorrow to go to Bora Bora on their honeymoon. He said, I think I can go to Talladega and win one, and wow, what a honeymoon that will be. As we get set for the green, Benny, this should be quite a shootout.
It really should be quite a shootout because all these guys so eager to win the race at Talladega and put on their best show for the NASCAR Winston Cup owners watching this race.
Crowd on their feet. Glad to have you with us. I'm Jerry Punch along with Ray Dunlap, Benny Parsons, Bill Weber, and Ray Evernham. We got enough Rays up here and a ray of sunshine. We got lots of Rays here to cover the action. Fans on their feet. Exciting NASCAR Busch Series action getting set to get underway in Talladega. Back straightaway. They will scatter out 3 wide. Now 4 wide. Bill Parsons down on the inside of the racetrack in the 59 car.
Jeff Green, that yellow car on the outside, looked like he was going someplace, and now all of a sudden he's going backwards.
Lap 1, rush hour at Talladega Superspeedway. Todd Bodine. Will he lead the Talladega Tango? First time by, it will be Bodine. And he'll get a challenge from LaJoie.
Ron Hornaday up on the high side. This is the Bob Evans Restaurant onboard camera riding with Randy LaJoie, the car that's now leading this race. Look at that group of cars.
Inside lane is LaJoie, then Bodine, then Hank Parker, the Team Marines machine up high. Hornaday in the Napa Chevy. Behind him, the AC Delco car. A couple of rookie drivers, Hornaday and Harvick, in the high lane. Cameras, and you hear the engine just whining. You say, when do they lift? They don't. Ray Evernham, you just plant that foot on the floorboard and just hold on.
All the way around. You don't ever want to have to lift here at Talladega. If you do, you're going to end up pretty far back. We'll see some guys just actually drag the brake rather than come off the throttle here.
Kevin Harvick is now caught in the middle, but 3 abreast. This is the battle for the 3rd position.
Got to shuffle Kenny Wallace to the high side in the Lance Snack Chevy. 33 car, Tony Raines having a good run early on. He falls back in line. Raines is the 4th car in the outside line. The 33 machine. Jeff Green maybe going to get a little bit of help in the middle there. There are 3 wide. Someone pulling up there behind him to give him a little drafting help. Kevin Grubb in the 37 car. The Timberwolf machine. Looks like a 185-mile-an-hour pace lap of there. Now 4 wide. There's Purvis on the inside. Now 3 wide. About 15th on back. Looks like a squadron of fighter planes. They're that close together. Simultaneously turning left and headed straight again as Hornaday takes the lead here on lap number 4 at Talladega. I told you that's the car he led the most laps in with Daytona. Was involved in an accident, finished in the back of the pack, but he was definitely a factor. Driving for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, the Napa Chevrolet. Behind him, Richard Childress on car for Kevin Harvick. Then Ed Rensi's 25 car for Kenny Wallace. But the battle is for 4 spots, side by side.
The practice they had on Thursday before qualifying, Kenny Wallace, the 25, the Lance Snacks Chevrolet, had the best time.
Talked about Joe Nemechek. You heard Ray Dunlap commenting about how strong he would be. Well, right now he's mired back in pretty heavy traffic, although he's gained some 10 spots. And there comes Mike Borkowski by, the rookie driver in the AT&T Pontiac. Borkowski was second fastest in happy hour practice. Both he and the 87 car you're riding along with now, the Cellular 1 Chevy, were the top two.
Ray, that's what you were talking about. Nemechek just has his foot poised on that brake in case he needs to slow down. He just reaches up and taps the brake rather than back off the throttle.
Right, Danny. What happens is when he gets a run, he doesn't want to run right up behind that car and lock himself in there to make a move. He needs to drag the brake to slow the car down rather than get off the gas pedal.
A quality farm and country telemetry. We'll be using that throughout the afternoon. You can see the miles per hour and the RPM the car is turning.
We've seen cars running 3 wide back in about the second, third of the pack now for 7 straight laps, making that middle groove work.
Wow, Jeff Purvis a moment ago down on the flat part of the racetrack, down on the apron. There's a look at Purvis in the Porter Cable Chevrolet. Driving for Joe Gibbs.
And you've heard, folks, we've heard announcers like us talk about the big one at Talladega. What we're talking about is the big wreck. So you can understand, if something happens to one of these cars up front, you have 40 cars in one big group. There's just no way to escape. You're in the crash. Sometimes it can take 20, 25 cars out in one crash.
And it may be hard to see on the screen here, but these cars are running at 190 miles an hour. Last time by the lead draft, 189.560 for Hornaday and company. That time by over 190 miles an hour. There's the speed, 109.431. Blaze Alexander actually turned the quickest lap that time by at 191 miles an hour, driving the Sabco Chevy. The car number 17 had to go to a backup car, Matt Kenseth, because of the wreck in happy hour where he cut a right rear tire. He went to the rear of the field, Benny, and he is making a move.
He was 14th the last time by. Ever see the Visine car? It's hard to see Kenseth. We're so accustomed to seeing that blue car in the NASCAR Busch Series.
He sold this car to Hank Parker Jr., and they happen to have the car in the truck, talking about Parker Jr.'s team, Marines team, in the truck as a backup. So they went back and bought the car back this morning, and we're putting decals on it when we were in the garage area earlier today. So they got a few laps on it yesterday, but basically from the back to the front in a year-old race car. Benny was talking about, Visine Chevrolet. John and Robbie Reiser own that car. It is not a Jack Roush machine. It is owned by Reiser Racing. Matt Kenseth drives that car in the Busch Series. He and Jason Schiller splitting the duty this year. Matt, of course, driving all the way up until last week at Nashville. And Jason Schiller, out of the Remax Challenge, drove the car. Slowly but surely making his way toward the front. We are early on here at Talladega in the 9th running of the Touchstone Energy 300. A pair of rookies lead the way, named Hornaday and Harvick. We'll be right back.